How's everybody doing, and welcome to the fish room. Today I just want to do kind of an update on the fish room, show you some of the fish. I just went through and did a feeding about a half hour ago. So a lot of the plecos are out, the shrimp are out, they're kind of feeding on some algae wafers. So I thought I'd go through, do a little mini tour slash fish room feeding, just kind of stay updated with you guys. I got a lot of side projects going on right now. I got my new saltwater tank, some changes have been made, but it's doing well. I have a little 5-gallon carpet planted aquarium. I made a video on that. I don't want to post it until I have some good results, and I can kind of do a part 2. I don't want to share anything with you guys whenever it's a kind of a project tank, and if it kind of fails, then I'm not going to post it because I don't want to put out any bad information. Hopefully you guys appreciate that. I could be posting more videos, but I still want to make sure they're good quality videos. I also have a tank I'm going to be starting a moss carpet, and just a lot of little random projects. I have my no water change aquarium as well, but not to get too sidetracked, just want to kind of stay updated with you guys. Let's go through, look at some of the tanks, but we're going to see a lot of nice plecos, shrimp in this video. We'll see some guppies too, but they already got fed some guppy flake food not too long ago, so they're not going to be really feeding much right now. But let's go through, we'll look at some of the aquariums, kind of do a quick overview, a little update, and check out some cool stuff. So stay tuned. Just a quick overview of the fish room before we get started. We got the saltwater aquarium, the no water change project aquarium. We got lots of baby plecos down there. We got some plecos in here. Lots of super reds and long fins, some guppies, some yellow half black, some guppies, adult common plecos. We got some baby guppies in there. We got some snails, guppies in there, some shrimp. That's my little project 5.5-gallon carpet aquarium, and then the wall tank. So the fish room, and there's a little 5-gallon there. So the fish room has shrunk a little bit over the last few months. I was supposed to move, as most of you guys know, but we're still kind of working on that. But as for now, I'm enjoying the fish room. I'm really doing a lot more experimental stuff to share cool videos with you guys and just keep myself interested in the fish room. But always trying new things. Some things I just stick to with my big water changes in my breeding tanks. But I have a lot more going on. But like I said, let's go ahead. Let's take a closer look at these tanks. Let's check out some of these plecos. They're feeding on some wafers. We might add some more. If you're wondering what I feed my fish, I'll put a link in the description below for the types of algae wafers and flake foods that I like to use. But let's go ahead without further ado and check out some of these fish. So down in this aquarium, it's a 29-gallon. I have lots of adult plecos in here, and there are tons and tons of babies. So let's go ahead, we'll look a little bit closer. It's not as bright down here. We get a little bit of light that shines through, but you can see tons and tons of baby plecos. We have some albino plecos in here. We have some lemon blue eyes. We have some commons and a few common long fins. But just kind of taking a quick look here, and honestly, I fed these guys about a half hour ago. I don't see a lot of algae wafers, so maybe I'll put some wafers in here and we'll come back at the end of the video, see these guys feeding. Here is a really nice common long fin adult male. He's really cool. I always enjoy this guy. Here we have a nice lemon blue eye, or like a blue eye leucistic. Nice big female common there. We got another female up here kind of just hanging out on the glass. Tons of baby plecos all over the place. There's got to be 200 plecos in this aquarium. Tons of little nuisance snails, which are actually very beneficial. They help feed on any of the leftover fish food in the aquarium, preventing any food going to waste, which I'm sure it doesn't. But once there's not enough food, the snails will start to disappear. Here we have a nice, the male just kind of scared him away. There's another nice long fin male, bristle nose. Trying to get a good shot on him. You can see him, it's not the best quality. I'd like to get my lighting updated, more so for video purposes, not really for any benefits to the tank besides just better for recording. But there was a really nice pleco down there. Let's see if I can block the glare for a second. That's a nice, he's like yellow. He's kind of hiding back there, but it's a lemon blue eye male bristlenose pleco. But let's keep going through the other tanks. I wanted to show this one first because there's a lot of activity and there are a lot of babies. But let's keep moving through the tanks. Next tank over, not as much going on in this tank, but here are some nice lemon blue eyes. There's a male up front and a female in the back. We got some snails. If you look through, we can see some guppies hiding in the plants. They kind of just tucked away as I was showing this, but been doing, sorry for me moving around, been doing a lot more air and sponge filters per tank. Now that I have this new, I already had one, but I sold it, new Gemco, I think. I'm drawing a huge blank, but the Gemco air pump. I already did a video on that. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But that goes along the whole wall right here all the way over, and that's powering all my aquariums. That's how I get my air and my filters to them. And then I have this little Radion heater that heats the room. I set it to around 80 degrees, and it usually keeps the room anywhere from like 75 to 80 degrees. It's a little bit on the cooler side, but I actually like having my tanks cooler. It's a lot more comfortable in here. It's really good for growing moss. Guppies and bristlenose plecos don't mind the colder water. Down at the bottom, it's usually around 75, 73, which is pretty cold. I was kind of scared about that at first, but I've done this very gradually over a year, where I went from having German blue rams, which you guys all really love those videos, but they like the water around like 80, 82, 84. And I had them at 84 and I worked them down to like 78, 80. So I had very hardy rams, but it was just a lot of work and I didn't want to breed them anymore. I wanted to take a break from it and just kind of have more low maintenance fish that I really enjoyed. But just coming down here, there's a huge long fin Pleco right there. I believe that's a female. I can't see her face right now, but check out the fins on her. She's just kind of going through that fake aquarium plant, but the fins on that fish are just amazing. And we're fighting glare pretty bad. But you can see all the adult plecos in this tank. There are some babies. I'm not really trying to breed in this tank that much, but obviously when you have enough adults and you feed enough food, you're gonna get lots of baby plecos. I've had some pretty good videos on how to breed bristlenose plecos. It's pretty simple, but we're gonna keep moving forward because this tank is so hard to see in with all the glares that we're fighting right now. In the tank above it, I'm really enjoying this tank. I have a lot of grow out plecos. I haven't been selling fish online very much or even locally for the reason that I want to grow out and have some more projects in the future and not get rid of all of my fish too young and have nothing to work forward and grow. But here we have tons of super red plecos. Right here we have a nice medium-sized long fin, which is really nice fins. Usually when they're younger, their fins are nicer because they're not mature and kind of fighting and trying to breed. But there's a lot of cool fish in here in my opinion. There's a pretty decent sized super red pleco. We got another one up here hanging on some driftwood. The moss is doing really well and it's just super simple. It's actually growing on top of a thick layer of acrylic yarn. So baby guppies hide in this all the time. I don't know if we can see any now, but you'll see them right on the edge and they kind of come out to feed and they'll tuck back away. I can't find any right now. You can see some medium-sized guppies if it'll focus in on them. These are some red guppies in this aquarium. You can kind of see them fighting the glare. I apologize. But over here we have some red marbles, even like a red marble or calico. Both names work. Just tons and tons of super reds. I have enough to sell, but I really want to grow these guys out and have some nice breeding projects in the future. Check out this guy right here. That's an awesome looking pleco. So that's what you call like a red marble long fin. Really dark with some red on it. Really enjoying that fish. Can't wait to grow it up and have that as a future breeder. There we have like a blue eye pleco. Lots more super reds, and there's even some tiny babies in here because we do have some adults still breeding. So pretty cool. This tank is like a full ecosystem. Not ecosystem, but well, there's a nice long fin albino also. But we have all stages of life in here. Kind of like when you have a guppy tank, you have the adults, you have the babies, you have some juveniles, and they just kind of breed like crazy. When they have too many, eventually have time to sell them. But this tank is doing just that, and plecos take a long time to grow. They're not going to be like guppies where 3 months from baby to adult, they're already breeding again. Plecos, you're looking at 9 months to a year, depending on how many are in the tank. If you had like 6 in a big aquarium and you fed them enough, they'll get pretty big in about 6 to 9 months. Whenever you have like 100 in a tank like this, they're going to take a little bit longer depending on the situation. So sometimes it's nice to just take one out and move it to a new aquarium, let it get pretty big by itself without all the competition. But this tank's doing really well, and you don't have to worry about overfeeding because all the food always gets devoured within a half hour or so, because I put about 6 mini algae wafers in here and I can't find any while we're looking. But let's keep going through, even though there are a lot more guppies in this tank, just hanging out in some floating fake plants. Little sneak peek on the no water change aquarium. I do have some guppies in here, and I do have some floating plants. I only had 1 or 2 little sprigs of that, and it's already kind of multiplying, growing longer roots. I did trim back some of the leaves on the Amazon sword, some dying leaves, and this is already growing some roots right there on this these longer stems. That's going to be cut and replanted here in the next few weeks, and I'll be doing a video on that. And the moss is looking pretty well, and I got shrimp in there. I've got shrimp in there also. They're kind of hanging out. I think I put about 10 shrimp and just a pair of guppies. Let me spot some shrimp for you guys. There's one there in the center of the screen. There's actually 2 right there. That's where I dropped the algae wafer too. They give like a tiny algae wafer in this tank once a day, and then I crush up some small flake food. Very important if you want to do a no water change aquarium. You need the plants, the lights, and you got to feed very minimal if you want it to actually work. Coming over the next set of 55-gallon tanks. I'm going to go quick on this because I don't really feel like fighting the glare. But we got nice common plecos in here, and we're just going to keep moving forward. We do have some purple deltas also, but it's really hard to see in this tank, so we're going to keep going forward. This tank is awesome. It's got a lot of yellow half black guppies, and they have plecos growing out here as well. The moss is growing like crazy. I've been pulling from it a whole bunch and restarting some new tanks. There's a nice long fin pleco and some like 2-week-old baby bristlenose plecos. It's a combination of albinos and blue eye plecos. So you can see right there up front is a blue eye, and the one in the back is an albino. You can see there's a blue eye female, probably old enough to breed. Oh, there's a male right there. That might be the pair that's breeding, which is pretty cool. And then there's a nice albino that's too young to breed, but still really nice grow out fish. There's just plecos all over the place in this tank, and they're doing really well. And there's a nice male. Half black guppy, half black just meaning like a tuxedo. They have the black on their body and then the color in their tail, kind of just separating the color. But really enjoying these guys. There's tons of babies. I'm growing them up. I will be selling these guys in the next few months. And this is a pure strain of yellow half black. They breed pretty true. And I've had a lot of hardy guppies. I haven't had any of casualties in this tank as of for guppies. I may have a couple calls for cricket backs or colors, but for the most part, this is a really nice strain of guppies. So stay updated, and these guys will be available in the new year. In here, a real basic tank. It was going to be a shipping tank where I was going to keep just an empty aquarium. Whenever I came to shipping fish, I'd toss them in, fast them for a few days so I didn't have to feed it, and then they'd be good to go. But for right now, I'm not shipping a lot of fish, and I just kind of always need an extra tank. But I have a pair of guppies in here, a couple fry, and these are kind of, it's not focusing at all for us, but these are my like bulletproof guppy project. They're very hardy. There's the male there. Baby on the side. There's the female, and basically this was a tank where I was breeding some fancy guppies, and most of them got like a bacterial disease, but these two look very well, so they have a good immune system. So I'm just going to breed those guys for a little while and see what colors I get. Whole bunch of shrimp in here and some snails. Most of the shrimp in this tank are actually calls, so this is not my breeding shrimp tank. A lot of them are missing like an eye, which is really funny. It's kind of, I mean, I don't know if it's funny, but see that guy, there's no eye in his right side, but the left side you see the black eye. So I don't want to be breeding those shrimp, but they're still pretty cool to look at them from afar. They're healthy, so I don't want to just get rid of them or anything, but we do have some one-eye shrimp in there, which is kind of random. Below that tank, this is the heavy moss tank where we had a drop tank. We had a yellow half black have some babies in here, and you can see a couple over there, but there's probably a good 10 or 15, maybe 20 fry in that tank. Over here we probably have a good 20 or 30 guppies. These are our fancy guppies, and they're probably they're a little over a month old now. They're born on 11/7. Now it's like 12/15 or something like that. But a whole bunch of babies in there. I have this little breeder box. If you guys want to check these out, they're really cool. Actually, my buddy Lewis from Cichlidscape, he was sent a few of these for free from a company, and it's really cool. What it is, it's a breeder box. It sits in the aquarium, so you don't have to heat it. You hook it up to air pump. Has screen mesh on the sides, so there's a little screen, so it actually lets the water come in. And then here, there's a little vent and an air, so it blows water from the aquarium up, a little bit of surface agitation, and then it comes out the sides. It's got a lid, it's got a little feeding hole that's big enough to actually fit food in there. Really cool so far. I'm really liking it. I pulled out some baby guppies that had specific color, and I put them in there, so I'm going to see how they grow up. That'll be another future video. I think I have some albino yellow half-blacks, if that's even a real thing, so stay tuned for that. But if you want to check out these breeder boxes, I really like them so far. I've been using it for a few weeks. That'll be in the description below. And check out my buddy's videos, Cichlidscape. He does a lot of nice planted aquariums, and obviously he has some really nice African cichlids. The shrimp tank here is doing amazingly well in my opinion. They're breeding like crazy. The baby shrimp are putting on tons of size, and as of the last few days, they've actually started to add a lot of color. So you can see obviously the adults here, but then there's the sub-adults and the babies, and they're actually all looking to have a little bit of orange and red in them. Typically, or sometimes you get like clear shrimp until they're a little bit older. We do have one random guppy in there. I put him in there because he is kind of like an albino. He looked pretty cool, and he was super small. So I wanted to take him out of the tank because it was not mixing with my breeding, but I didn't want to get eaten in another tank. But going back to the shrimp, these guys are still kind of foraging on the algae wafers, which are pretty much gone by now, but they break them up into tiny pieces. They're all kind of picking up the sand and sifting through it because there's lots of food particles in the tank still. So really cool. They're all feeding on that. Hopefully you can kind of see them. I know I'm bouncing around a little bit on the camera, but these guys are super active. They're really looking for food right now. They're doing well. And some of them are really nice dark color, more so a red than an orange, even though these started off as my orange cherry shrimp. The moss is growing well also, but let's kind of wrap this up. Let's keep going through the tanks. We're almost done here. This tank back here is a 5-gallon tank, and I added a really cool pair of purple Delta guppies. I added some more yarn, and this was a tank where we had the scuds, and they've been eating a ton of them, so it's a great food source. But check out this male. I've had it for a while. This is my purple painted Delta guppy strain. Purple meaning just purple. Purple painted, I say painted because they have that splashing of color. And the Delta tail meaning the long squared off tail. And just guppy, I know I kind of stuttered through that, but I call them my purple painted Delta guppies. Those are just all the traits of them. And this is a female in here. Really fighting this light's almost too bright, but she's really cool. See her top fin's longer, so she's got some nice long fins on her. She's like a purple, and whenever I pulled her from the tank, she was still young enough that she hasn't been bred, so she's getting a little bit older now. I put her with this male because he's a little bit slower with his long fins, so I put him in a smaller aquarium so he can hopefully breed with her, and that'll be kind of breeding down generations. You can do like, if you're into genetics, you can go like, I know it sounds bad, but like father, daughter, grandfather, granddaughter, like skipping generations. You can obviously breed siblings to each other, even though I know people that aren't into breeding don't understand that. But long story short, if you're line breeding a fish, the fish have babies, you grow up the babies, you breed the nicest ones to each other, and you repeat that. You can do that for 5 generations. But if you breed from, like, say they have babies, you grow them up and you breed one of those babies, say like a male to its mother, which sounds crazy, I know, but that's actually really good for diversing genetics with still getting a line of fish or anything. Like with dogs and stuff, that's pretty common. And it's still a healthy way to do it, long as you're breeding animals or fish with good genetics. Anytime you line breed or inbreed, you're just enhancing all of their features. So say a fish has a crooked back and you breed it with a crooked back, you are doing bad inbreeding. But say you have a really nice fish with nice blue colors, breed it to another fish with really nice blue colors, and they happen to be related, that's actually line breeding or good inbreeding. So little side note, I know this isn't the best footage, but I think that's some important side note information. Hopefully it makes sense for you guys. You can do more research, you can ask me questions. I love answering that kind of stuff because I have hours upon hours of research on how to breed anything from fish, bunnies, reptiles, geckos, frogs, you name it. I've put my research in. I definitely understand it, and I've been doing it for a while, so I've seen the results in multiple different species. But that male guppy is really cool. It's kind of hard to get some good footage on him. Here's my wall tank. Not much has changed. These are just a bunch of grow out guppies, and I will be selling some of these to the pet store here. Once I get some more plecos of size, they wanted some guppies and plecos, so I'm just growing out some more guppies. I have enough right now, but I don't want to make a far trip and sell like 20 guppies without anything else. So I'm going to grow up those plecos in that first 29 gallon a little bit longer, and hopefully do a double sale whenever I make the trip to the store, because it's a little bit out of my way, so make it worth my while. But we're going to wrap this video up. I'm going to end it with a quick sneak peek. This is my 5.5 gallon fluval aquarium. It's on a timer and they're off right now. But we have some carpeting plants I bought the other day and some planting substrate or soil for aquariums. So far it's about 5 days old. I am seeing a little bit of growth and the plants are looking a nice bright green, which is good. But that video will be coming out soon. Thank you all for watching, guys. As always, if you're not already, please subscribe, like the video, hit the notification bell. All those things are very easy for you. They're free, doesn't cost you anything, and you'll get notified whenever I upload new videos, and it helps me out a whole bunch. So thank you guys. Been doing YouTube videos for years now. I'm gonna keep on doing them, but you guys watching the videos, liking, commenting, sharing my stuff helps me keep making more videos, and it's really fun to do in my opinion. But the more you guys are involved, the more fun it is. So thanks again. I will talk to you guys next time. Check out some of these videos I'm posting around the screen, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks.